Oh my god, it's here! The one with the funk! Fret not all, it's the Windwalker Monk!
Man, sounds like another fat drunk.
Hell no, man, this one can really dunk. Talent and rotation,
Dude, that's just junk.
Conduits and Covenants, fool? He ain't no punk. Watch the video, man. Stop flaunting your trunk. Don't be a skunk or a hard-headed tree trunk. And play that damn Windwalker Monk. Monks are so smooth and sexy, just like Matt's mom or our UI. Yeah, edit this one, fool. We use the CurseForge client for all our add-on needs since it's simple. One button click and everything is updated. The library is super easy to browse for other add-ons, and most of all, it's an improved version of the old Twitch app when it comes to the add-ons. It's supported by an active dev team who constantly are improving it, fixing bugs and adding more and more quality of life changes, and this on a weekly basis. Just click the link down in the description and you have access to all of our add-ons, easy mode. Thank you to the CurseForge client for sponsoring this video and all add-on creators for sharing their work with the players. And now, transition! Keep in mind that our guide focuses on the basics, providing you the fundamentals of windwalking so you can pick it up quick and start smashing and improving. There are more things to learn about Windwalker in the Peak of Serenity community, more on that later. For now, the first row has all options viable. Generally, you want Chi Burst if you will stick with one universal option. It's essentially the better pick in situations where you can hit more than one target, which is true for all mythic dungeons and most raid bosses. Same goes with Chi Wave as well, which works better in single target as well. If you cannot be bothered with that, or you are simply interested in optimizing single target damage, pick Eye of the Tiger, and that might be an easier one at first to reduce the amount of buttons you have to press while you get comfortable with the spec. Although there is an argument to be made about your mastery being easier to keep up with more different buttons available. But be free, pick what you want. Next row is all mobility. Realistically, any option here is good, provided you can make it return value, hence using it properly. We do recommend Tiger's Lust for a few reasons. One is that it doesn't replace your baseline roll, giving you an extra option to deal with situations. Two is that it can be used on allies, hence increasing the value you provide to the group. And three, it breaks roots, and there are quite a few instances in dungeons where roots can be a big problem, and having a safe way out is pretty good. Not to mention that the sheer boost in speed is enough to help you or anyone deal with almost any mechanic. Moving down, again, another row that can help in situational encounters. We recommend Fist of the White Tiger for pretty much any and all scenarios. It's a safe pick, it helps you control your resources a bit more. Sure, it's an extra button, but then again we come back to my previous argument where the value of an extra button can be seen when managing your mastery, at least from the perspective of a Windwalker Monk in training. The fourth row is utility based. Good karma can provide a lot of benefits in raids. There's a decent amount of damage that will hit you even if you don't fuck up mechanics, so having the heal component will give you more freedom to DPS freely. But please dodge the fire still. You're not gonna dodge it, are you? I knew it. Otherwise, Ring of Peace is probably the strongest form of CC in the game. You will get the most uses out of this in Mythic Keys. Not only is the current meta heavy on the tank damage, hence your tank will need to kite a lot, but mobs have a tendency to be either spread out, stay in goo, cast uninterruptible spells, or jump like hyperactive monkeys on your healer and range DPS. Ring of Peace, baby! Moving down, you have the defensive row. Dampen Harm is your main go-to for physical damage mitigation. This helps if, for some reason, you are about to take heavy melee attacks. I'm thinking the Spiteful Mythic Affix, Sludge Fist Pillar Busts that can kill you if you are not topped in HP, and any other mechanic you might have to soak, say Stone Generals, or simply getting hit accidentally in dungeons cause your DPS be pumping hard and your tank might not be able to handle it, pro warrior. Diffuse magic might see more use though, since aside for a few exceptions, physical damage taken will be mostly aimed at the tank, while magical casts will be more prevalent on you as a DPS. Either way, it depends on the content you do, since you could do Mythic Keys high enough where the dungeon rangers that just shoot people randomly with auto attacks can end up chunking half or more of your HP if the key is high enough. Choose wisely and use wisely. Down on the 6th row, take Dance of Chi-Ji for most situations. From an Azurite trait back in BFA, this made its way into the talents and excels at anything that isn't pure single target. It's also a comfort pick if juggling your abilities so you don't cast the same thing twice is a pain. However, this argument shouldn't have a strong leg to stand on since that's the core of Windwalker Monk to begin with. Hence why in single target, as in pure single target, hit combo will be way better. It promotes you not fucking up your rotation by rewarding you with a 6% potentially permanent damage increase on all of your abilities. Hit combo will likely see play in raids on fights like Shriekwing, Sludge Fist, Hungering Destroyer, and Artificer, while Dance of Chi-Ji being better everywhere else. Lastly, Whirling Dragon Punch is the best option on the last row in all situations. It has been this way for a while actually in BFA as well. It's a very good ability to use in both single target and AoE, but do keep in mind that its animation will lock you in place and that can put you in danger if you are on the move dodging mechanics. When it comes to stats and consumables, the only correct answer is to sim yourself. Not everyone can be bothered though, and some people just like it simple. Still, a good place to start from is making sure you equip the highest eye level item you can. Hence why agility is the best stat to get, and you will keep this in mind for anything that can buff you here on out. Versatility is next on the list. The more you push content, the more of this you will want, which also gets better and better the more eye level you have. After this, Mastery and Critical Strike are fairly equal, baseline anyway, with Haste being your worst stat. Keep in mind that if even your best stat is Versatility, Shadowlands brought back diminishing returns on secondary stats, so eventually you might have to branch out. We get comments about stat weights and how stats are better than the ones we recommend. Remember, the stats play off each other, so the more you have of one stat, the better the others become, and since everyone has different gear, there is no one right answer for everyone. The hierarchy we gave you just now is there to give you a place to start and a reference, something to aim for. If you are truly serious about upping your performance to the max, use raidboss.com. Same arguments transfer over to enchants, but hey, Sinful Revelations will still output the most single target damage, while Lightless Force is good for AoE scenarios. Choose one of the two for your two-handers or one of your one-handers, while Celestial Guidance will go on your second weapon if dual wielding. And yes, right now, considering the same eye level, dual wielding will be better. If the difference between weapon setups is too large to tell what is better to equip, sim, but a two-hander still loses out on enchants. Use Eternal Skirmish for your chest piece and a heavy Desolate Armor kit. Extra stamina is nice to have also because Touch of Death scales with your HP, so you could see it as a very minor DPS increase, or a major DPS increase if the extra stamina saves your butt from dying. Your boots will get Eternal Agility and your cloak will have Soul Vitality, again for the argument on stamina being a DPS increase, although there are other pure defensive options you can look up if interested. For gems and ring enchants, you want to follow your stat priority if min-maxing. For the purpose of the video, Versatile Jewel Cluster and Tenet of Versatility will always be good. You can never have enough versatility, to be honest. Or can you? Overall, the Potion of Spectral Agility will be your most used DPS potion in all scenarios. It is the ideal choice in anything but pure single target, aka solo boss fights. There you could go for Potion of Phantom Fire for a slight DPS increase, if you can afford it. The flask will be the Spectral Flask of Power for the main stat buff. No surprises here. Use Shaded Sharpening Stone or Weight Stone depending on your weapon type, and maybe replace one of them with the Shadow Core Oil for pure single target and if using the Phantom Fire Potion, which gets extra damage when combined with the oil. If you can afford it, eat the Feast of the Gluttonous Hedonism for the agility buff. It's likely you will do this in raids mostly anyway. Otherwise, go with your secondary stat buff food of choice, which is going to be Steak Kala mode most of the time. In terms of covenants, they all have their uses and builds you can experiment with. We will be focusing on what seems to provide the most damage output, and that is Kyrian at the moment with the Pelagos Soulbind. Peak of Serenity has a nice flowchart for any possible combination based on your preference. The path you want to take with Pelagos is the one that unlocks both potency and endurance slots. Speaking of which, there are 3 potency conduits you will mostly be playing with. Coordinated Offensive and Strike with Clarity will be your general build for single target scenarios, or fights with priority targets. You can replace Strike with Clarity with calculated strikes for AoE encounters if you are confident enough you can manage Mark of the Crane properly. You can also test the combinations or sim them on raid bots for the best result. Mostly test, since the way you play with and around them can make or break a build, and sims don't take account of that. As opposed to other specs, Windwalker potency conduits seem to be very strong, and playing them right will matter a lot. Some of the best endurance choices seem to be harm denial and fortifying ingredients, and with the catch-up system for renown, it should be pretty easy for you to get all 4 conduits unlocked. Clea is also a decent alternative if it provides better benefits to you or you simply want to play with her more. That's way dirtier than I thought it would be. As far as finesse conduits go, choose what suits your playstyle. To get a better idea of what trinkets to use, bloodmallet.com and herodamage.com have a ranking list of trinkets based on single target and AoE scenarios. It's a good way to get a sense of what you should aim for. Granted, the list is simulated against a template character which will most likely be different than yours, so personal simming will always trump that. Still, a few noteworthy mentions that perform well at the moment start with the Inscrutable Quantum Device. This trinket has a lot of possible procs. However, when it procs with a stat buff, the amount is crazy good. And either way, whatever proc you randomly get, the numbers will even out in the end, making this one of the best trinkets in the game. Stone Legion's Heraldry plays on versatility, and it can be a really good addition if more people in your group use it. Vial of Putrefaction is also a passive proc that will amount to a decent output of raw damage, and if you are also interested in doing some PvP on the side, the Sinful Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity is easy to get, farmable, and easy to upgrade to a higher eye level, arguably easier than any other trinket in the game that drops in dungeons or raids. Did I say easy enough? Right now, Invoker's Delight is the best performing legendary. I mean, even if haste is your lowest stat, having a 33% buff for 20 seconds is a crazy boost in damage gain. Might not alter your rotation, aside from making it speedy as fuck, but it puts you up on the meters. And it has amazing synergy with the Kyrian Covenant ability Weapons of Order, which have a built-in cooldown reduction mechanic on abilities influenced by haste, in that haste reduces their cooldown so you can spam them more and get even more cooldown reductions to the other abilities. The synergy comes from the shared cooldowns between Invoke Zuen, which procs the legendary effect, and Weapons of Order, which both have a 2-minute cooldown. And hey, if you want to play around with arguably cooler effects but less performance, choose any of the other legendaries, which do indeed sprinkle some spiciness on your rotation. Before you start the combat, 15 to 20 seconds if you can, precast Expel Harm, so you can generate a Chi. Just before the pool, precast Chi Burst or Chi Wave. Next, you want to get 5 Chi with either Fist of the White Tiger, Tiger Palm, or Expel Harm, or a combination of these. Then pop Invoke Zuen, pop Weapons of Order, use Storm, Earth and Fire, Rising Sun Kick next, Tiger Palm next if you would cap on energy, casting Fists of Fury right after that, Expel Harm after if your Tiger Palm is on cooldown to prevent capping energy, finish with Whirling Dragon Punch before moving on to the normal rotation priority. If you are Night Fae or Venthyr, simply use their Covenant ability after you precast Chi Burst. If you are Necrolords, use Bone Dust when you would Weapons of Order. The priority is not the order in which you press the buttons, but rather a hierarchy of your best to worst buttons to press based on the fight and your condition, hence why you might see me cap resources here. This is only to give you an idea of the priority, which starts with Fist of the White Tiger, as long as you don't cap Chi and to prevent capping energy. Expel Harm next, same reasoning as for Fist. Tiger Palm, same, don't cap Chi by using it and use it to prevent capping energy. Invoke Zuen after on cooldown. Weapons of Order next, or any Covenant ability except Feline Stomp. Whirling Dragon Punch is next, Spinning Crane Kick only with Dance of Chi-Ji procs, Feline Stomp here or continue with Rising Sun Kick. Fist of Fury next, pop Touch of Death, Fist of the White Tiger if you have less than 3 Chi, Expel Harm if you are not maxed on Chi, same thing with Chi Burst, Blackout Kick as long as Sun Kick and Fists of Fury have more than 2 seconds left of their cooldown. Chi Wave if you have it talented or continue with Tiger Palm. When fighting more than 2 targets, Fist of the White Tiger is first, followed by Expel Harm and Tiger Palm, used as long as you won't cap on Chi and dump energy in this order in terms of priority. Invoke Zhuan on cooldown next, pop Weapons of Order, Bone Dust Brew or Fallen Order, Whirling Dragon Punch after, Feline Stomp if you are a fairy, Spinning Crane Kick to consume Dance of Chi procs, Fist of Fury next, Touch of Death, Expel Harm to generate Chi, Fist of the White Tiger to generate Chi, Chi Burst to, well, you get the idea. Rising Sun Kick only to enable Whirling Dragon Punch. Spinning Crane Kick on 3 targets, 2 if you have the Calculated Strikes Conduit. Chi Wave if talented, Tiger Palm Last for filler, and Chi Generation and Energy Down. This is a simplified version of what Windwalker can and should do. You can use everything in our guide to get started and make your way up the DPS meters, but there are more nuances out there if you want to be a complete monk. Check peakofserenity.com for Babylonius' complete guide for Windwalker. The guide is a freaking encyclopedia of windwalking goodness, and you will definitely get more advanced tips there. You can also visit the Peak of Serenity Discord channel to talk with the top monks everywhere. And speaking of Babylonius, we want to take this time to thank him for all the hard work he does for all monks out there and always being willing to help us too on our Windwalker guides. You can check his YouTube channel too for even more Windwalker goodness, and all links are in the description. Thank you to our patrons for supporting the content as usual, and thank you dear viewer for staying this long into the video. If you want to support us a little bit more, it's not mandatory, but we do appreciate it and it does actually help. You can check the Patreon link down below for more goodies and, you know, maybe some merch like the one I'm wearing right now, coincidentally. You can also catch us stream on twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline, where we play most, if not all, of these specs. And thank you to all the contributors who helped make this video. You know who you are. Stefan. Take care, everybody. See you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.